Greetings, everyone. We're back with Michael today on this. Wow, looks like the end of June here, Michael. We're on 26th today, 26th of June, 2022, and we have session 37 with Michael on the very special topic of the JFK assassination and the analysis of our friend in Germany. Michael, welcome.
Yeah, welcome, dear Brad. Hello, dear listeners. We are seeing some progress in the file. I expected before that we would finish in June, July, but I think that's it would take us, I think, at least 10 sessions to close down this Kennedy thing. You could go into this endlessly, but we're on a good way through the file, and it's not very biblical at the moment. Except the first verse, which I would like to point out. This is about the first session of at least two about the infamous Zapruder movie, allegedly depicting the assassination on your President Kennedy. Well, there's much to say about this. And I depicted here a monitor with a tree of the branch here, which is indicating for a lie, or Pinocchio with his long nose, if you would prefer that. So that you will know my train of thoughts soon, and I hope that I can provide you with some information that maybe you have never come across before. So let's go for the flow. The first thing that I want to do is to show you that this is, of course, the assassination. So the logical outcome was the killing of President Kennedy. That is most likely that the president has been killed. So we can assume that everything is faked. Yeah, as I said last time, for the Lee Harvey Oswald killing, it's a staged event, and the killing of Kennedy as well is a staged event. But let's just look at the Bible first, because I would like to ask Brett to read 3 Bible verses before, so that we really see that behind every murder attempt, behind every inspiration to kill anyone, there must be an evil spirit. And the origin of all evil spirits is the Satan spirit, or the Antichrist spirit, which turns everything around. So he's not for the creation, but for the destruction, or Apollyon, the destroyer. And I would like to show you now how Satan has been described in the book of John, verses 8:42 to 44.
And that reads, Jesus said unto them, If God were your Father, ye would love me, for I proceed forth, and came from God. Neither came I for myself, but he sent me. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my word. Ye are of your father the devil, and your lusts, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
So thank you very much, Brett. You see that Satan is not a liar, but he's also a murderer from the beginning. So that means that every murder is also a lie, because it refutes the creator God. So everybody who's murdering anybody is denying that God has created that man, or he does not care. He's not obeying God's commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Of course, the 6th commandment, the real 6th commandment of it all. And to assassinate somebody on a big scale, on a conspiracy level, then of course you have a bunch of people needed for that assassination. So they are all in the Antichrist spirit. So you won't find the truth in an assassination or a conspiracy which led to murder, because every murder is also connected with the father of Satan, the father of lies. Sorry. So therefore, there is much lie in every murder, because these people are in the Antichrist spirit. They won't tell you the truth, because they are being led by evil spirits, and Satan being the father of it. So back to the script. What can I provide you that you haven't heard already? Well, let's try to get it on. In 1957, the Vatican has promoted and published an encyclical called Miranda Prosos on cinema, radio, and television from Pope Pius XII. And in that, it's very interesting because I, of course, did not have the time to go into this in the English language. Miranda Prosos, it's a papal encyclical in English. It's about remarkable technical inventions which are the boast of the men of our generation. And it's very interesting because I will now switch back and forth from German to English. Because in that very article here, it says that you shall be aware of the fact that the censorship of the movies are being done to create the official opinion in the correct manner. So it is about censorship. Let's look it up if we can find it in English. Yeah. If you would like to have the English translation out of the German version of Miranda Prosos, yeah, they should also keep in mind that their office, the evaluation and censorship of films, is primarily aimed at correctly forming public opinion. I think that's much more clearer here, huh? My, these Jesuits. Yeah. Also, they rely on radio, which they say it's Marconi's development, but we know that Nikola Tesla also claims to be the real inventor of that. It's really hard to find everything that I found in German script. Sonderprobleme, special problems. Where are special radio here? Special problems. Special problems on television. Television, besides the common element which it shares with the two other inventions for spreading information, of which we have already spoken, has a power and efficiency of its own. For by the art of television, it is possible for the spectators to grasp by the eye and the ear events happening far away in the very moment in which they are taking place, and thus to be drawn on, as it were, to take an active part in them, and this sense of immediacy is increased very much by the home surroundings. The special power which television enjoys of giving pleasure within the family circle is to be reckoned of very great importance, since it can contribute a great deal to the religious life, the intellectual development, and the habits of those who make up the family, of the sons, and especially whom the more modern invention will certainly influence and captivate. But it sounds more directly in German. I will retranslate it from German, Miranda Prosos. Ja, die Kinder, auf die die Zauberei dieser neuen Erfindung zweifellos seine Wirkung haben soll. Zauber means sorcery. And we will translate it then from DeepL into English. So, the special attraction that television has for the sanctuary of the family is certainly to be highly reckoned, since it contributes much to the religious life, education, and good manners of the family members, especially the children, on whom the magic of this new invention will undoubtedly have and keep its effect.
Aha, key word, magic.
Yes.
Sorcery.
Yeah. And where's that on the English version of that? Huh? Where is that? 0.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't exist.
It does not exist. So sometimes it's good that I'm of German heritage, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. My.
You see, Michael, this is the point. Why would it be in Europe that you have different ways of doing your business, and these habits are different than in the United States? And we came from Europe to live here. Why wouldn't it be the same? I don't know. Maybe it's one of the Tower of Babel things, that God places those things to divide us in some ways because we live in different areas and we speak different languages with different what can we say? You know, we might speak the same language, but we have different pronunciations and different ways.
Yeah, although Brett, you did not understand anything of the German language, you see that I just copied and pasted that article from Miranda from Vatican.va. So it's an official page from Vatican.va from 1957. Yeah, with the children, Kinder, Zauber, yeah, means children and sorcery, and so that is what it's missing in the English part. And if I translate that here with Kinder and Zauber, yeah, then you have the children of whom the magic of this new invention will undoubtedly have and keep its effect. So they absolutely are aware. The Vatican is aware of that television is a tool to create an illusion with magic, especially for the younger generation, especially the children. And isn't that what we are facing today with all the smartphones and laptops?
Absolutely. It's the same thing all over again.
And it had been written here on the last note, from St. Peter's, Rome, the 8th day of September, the feast of Our Lady's Nativity, 1957. Oh. Okay, let's get back to the script. There is a home movie made by a name named Robert Hughes that includes both footage of JFK's approaching motorcade and the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Here's a still photograph from the window. From the film with an arrow pointing at the 6th floor window, the alleged window. You see that 11 kind of bricks here. So it is 3 times 11, also 33. It's a Freemason building, Freemason site, Freemason window. And you see here the motorcade of the president going on to Elm Street. The problem you got with the Zapruder film is not only technically. The problem is that everybody is absolutely aware of the magic of movies. But the real problem of all the assassinations is that there is a government authority control who tries to collect all evidence, because the best way to get evidence is to collect them. And the best way to get rid of evidence, Brett, is also to collect them. Because if you cannot show anything because it has been handed over to the officials and then been lost, it will be lost forever. And that's the case with many, many, many bystanders and many movies, not only for the JFK assassination, but for every other big-scale operation as well. This is just an example here of Mrs. Rosemary Willis of the JFK assassination. She was a close witness, but then she stated that she heard at least 4 loud shots during the assassination, but you know that all movies are still movies without the sound. And she was documented in the House Select Committee of Assassination report, stating that their father, military veteran Philip Willis, became very upset when the Dallas policemen, sheriffs, and detectives ran away from the grassy knoll after they had first quickly run onto the grassy knoll where he thought a shot had been fired from. Rosemary's sisters, on the other hand, called Linda Willis, stated to assassination researcher and author Richard Trask that after the assassination, she and Rosemary also saw somebody find a piece of the president's head that had landed in the grass of the location to the left of the president. After the assassination, Willis, along with her sister, father, and her mother, were present at the Kodak Photographic Laboratory in Dallas, getting her father's assassination-related photo slides developed. They were at the same time as when the Zapruder film was also first developed and first shown to approximately 19 persons. Brett, 19 is also a code for the sun. It's a tarot card, 19. Tarot card 19. It's the sun, and therefore also a symbol for Osiris. That's tarot card 19. Huh? X, Y, X. It's 19 in Roman numerals. It's the sun. Okay, so let's get back on. Even though she was a close assassination witness, Rosemary was never interviewed by any Warren Commission investigators. Yeah, of course. She became a school teacher then. That's her on that picture here. But, and now it's a big but, she was very close to the president. She was on the side of the Didi Plaza on the grass, not on the grassy knoll, but on the other side. Her old sister, and that's a comment of somebody, I cannot prove it, but it would be very interesting. She was interviewed in 2011 and she said that the FBI took her father's photographs to study and later returned them. However, she believes that the photographs were altered because they did not appear the same as they did when they were published in Look magazine the week after the assassination. And that would be no surprise because that happens quite regularly. So she's visible in the Zapruder movie, and we will get to the Zapruder movie quite soon. Yeah, and that's not the only case where the FBI had collected evidence and will never release it, because that's also a similarity bred in the Pentagon attacks on September 21 years ago. They had only released 2 videos. And I know that I've read many things about that. They have collected movies from hotels, movies from gas stations, from everywhere in the location around them, but you don't find them anymore because they're simply not there. They have been collected and gathered at the FBI, and they are, I don't know, sealed. I don't know. That's also a thing which has the JFK assassination in common with the September attacks. With the September attacks. Yeah, so therefore I will now show you so many interesting things about the Zapruder movie especially, and in general for the JFK assassination side. Because now we are moving into Mr. Zapruder. This is a picture of 1966, as you see, and in the German Wikipedia, not in the American Wikipedia or English Wikipedia, in the German Wikipedia, they tell you it's zufällig. So I will translate that also into English so that you see what we have been taught. He was born in Ukraine, and he was an amateur filmmaker who, as a spectator at the presidential reception in Texas, happened to film the assassination of John F. Kennedy in Dallas on November, etc. Happened to film, so by accident. Nobody tells you usually that he was a 32-degree Freemason, and he was standing in a Freemason temple, in a Freemason site on a Freemason statue, doing this, doing his task. Yeah, and if you go into the Wikipedia entry, then you find a small remark that he was a Freemason. Yeah, but they won't tell you that the Didi Plaza is a Freemason temple, of course. Yeah, so he was at the right time on the right spot. Yeah, how many coincidences would you want to have? Yeah, you see that this is framing. What many people do not know is there is absolutely no movie. Movie means to move, and movie means just a camera who's capable to record a high amount of frames per second so that it creates the illusion that the pictures would move to create a movie. But there is not one movie camera in the world. These are just photo cameras with a high frequency, with a high rate per second. I think the rate is at least 25 frames per second to have a steady moving picture. And so every movie contains of frames. So here's, for example, frame 148, frame 149, frame 150, 151, etc., 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 etc. So you pick up some frame, and this is just a movie. No, this is not a movie. This is just a picture. And now we have a big problem with that, because there are frames missing in a Zapruder movie. Yeah, look at this. It starts, in my case, with 01, and then with 2, and then it comes down to 146. Sometimes they are going up to 90 or 100, but it is not interesting what the numbers tell you. It's just interesting that there is a split in the film, because in every movie, or in every Zapruder movie, you see after the second frame here, you see bang, the limousine and the other limousines arriving. So there is missing information in that movie. Yeah, there are several seconds missing here. That's the first thing that has to be noticed. The second thing is that it contains only of frames. So everybody must be asked, where are the missing frames? This is an international assassination. So come on, this is of utmost importance here. Yeah, Edward Bernays told you in 1928 that the manipulation of the habits and opinions of the masses is an important element of democratic societies. So it's manipulation, propaganda manipulation. And they put you in a frame. So that frame of Zapruder is the only information you got. But it does not tell you if that information is correct, and that information is complete, because first and for all, there are frames missing. Why? You. Many tricks on you. Many tricks on you. It's very strange that Mr. Abraham Zapruder, AZ, from A to Z, yeah, has a daughter of a son or of a daughter, I cannot remember. So he was the great the granddad. She's called also Alexander Zapruder, 26 seconds, and we can spare that because it does not provide any useless information. Yeah, it's just to get the name out in the public. So this is Mr. Zapruder in the old times with his hobby to make movies or moving images, actually. He was coming from Ukraine, and then he was settled in Dallas then later on. And I asked Brad out that he can provide me with some interesting or not so interesting files from the Dallas Morning News. We all know that Zapruder has sold the movie to Life magazine. Life magazine had the same publisher as Time magazine, Sovereign Military Order of Malta Knight Henry R. Luce. And it's quite obvious, Brett, that if you are a high-ranking Freemason and the Sovereign Military Knight of Malta is on top of that in the priority list, on top of the Freemasons, then of course you hand over the movie to the authorities, to the FBI, which is 33-degree Freemason, J. Edgar Hoover, and then to sell it to the Life magazine, which has been run by the Sovereign Military Knight of Malta, which is in the hierarchy one step above. So once the master, it's a Time Life magazine. It's many magazines under one roof. And on the other hand, it's a servant, Abraham Zapruder. Yeah. So it has been handed over to a newspaper being run by Sovereign Military Knights of Malta. That's what you have to keep in mind. But that's not the end. It's just the start. This is Mr. Zapruder, minutes, or I don't know how many minutes after the assassination took place. And there he has been interviewed by a television series. And he said that, well, I was about halfway down, or the limousine was halfway down. There was a shot and he slumped, so meaning the president, to the side. Then I heard another shot, or two, I can say. Yeah, that's what he tells. And I couldn't say. And I saw his head like a broccoli opens all with blood. And I said, oh, that's very strange, because broccoli usually is green and not orange. And I found it very suspicious that every time I look at the Zapruder movie, frame 313, so a picture, not a movie, a picture 313, I found it very strange that it appears in orange. Orange being also the color of 33-degree Freemasonry, also being the color allegedly used for sodomy. Very interesting, huh? Have you ever seen a head explode in orange? But we will come to this later on. And I said, okay, but I kept on shooting. That's about all. I'm just sick. Yeah, but at the moment, he does not appear sick to me, Brett. And the reporter says, well, that's pretty well expresses the entire feelings of our old world. Yeah, that was just... And he said he was also present at the Didi Plaza, and he heard something cracking like shooting of fireworks, but then they realized that it was shots or gunshots. Very interesting. So Mr. Zapruder has been paid $150,000, a big amount of money at that time, from the Life magazine for his movie. And then the interviewer told Mr. Zapruder, or the general audience, that this happened this afternoon about what time? Maybe 12:35. Brett, You have to count the digits once again, please.
Oh, sure. Well, 1 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 6 plus 5 is 11.
Yeah, surprised?
No, not really.
Not really, huh? So it can also mean that that Mr. Zapruder, I think he was a Freemason there. So why did they come up with the time of 12:35 when everybody knows that it happened 12:30? So 12:35, another 11. Maybe they're all Freemasons. I don't know, and I don't care at the moment because I know that Zapruder was a 32-degree Freemason. So that means also that he knew about the assassination tactic, or he knew about the ritual of Hiram Abiff. The ritual killing of Hiram Abiff, of the chief architect of Solomon's temple. That is third-degree Master Mason, and he was a 32-degree. Of course he knew what was going to happen in Dealey Plaza. Don't tell me he did not know anything. You must be very naive to do so. No? So, but then he said we have to stop the conversation because we have now information that a person has been arrested who was accused to have been killed. The president, of course, it had to be Lee Harvey Oswald. So, moving to the real important things. This is another task for anybody except me, because I know what the correct answer is. Remember the magazine who bought the infamous Zapruder movie. And 1 week after the assassination, on the next Friday, November the 29th, they come up with that story. I hope it's big enough now. And I said that, okay, Time Life means Saturn, or SMOM, because Saturn means the father of time. And this is an incorrect picture. There is a big error in it, and that's on the right part of that newspaper here, the assassination of President Kennedy. So there is an error here, because here they are showing John and Jacqueline Kennedy arriving at the Lafayette airport, and here is the assassination of President Kennedy with the story, and they are now showing you that compartment of the limousine. Now, can you tell me, Brett, what the error is in that picture?
Well, now that you mention it, I see two. For one, there's only 2 rows of seats, which in the limousine there's 3. And also, as far as I can remember, there was a divider between the 2 doors as well. And here it looks like there's no divider.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Yeah, so in the German part, I asked Stephanie and Jörg, and they both got it wrong. They were concentrated they were focused on the flowers and on the blankets, on everything else. But then Sebastian came up with the right conclusion. He said, well, there is there are 2 seats missing, actually. Yeah, so this is the incorrect picture. This is just one picture of another follow-up car, yeah, with roses. But everybody had to assume, yeah, that was the car that President Kennedy was killed, huh? So they are faking everything. It is not the presidential limousine. 100% it is not the presidential limousine. So don't be fooled. Yeah, this is sorcery. Yeah, they fool you because that if you are superficial, you buy the newspaper and you say, oh, they are Kennedy, and yeah, that's an open convertible. That's a convertible open car with some roses in it. Must be the presidential car. No, it isn't. My, that's just the start of all the mess here. Yeah. And Miranda Prosus once again says it has something to do with entertainment. Yeah, entertainment means to entertain you mentally. So maybe we have to look it up. Entertainment. Yeah, entertainment industry. The programs have generated something which has reference not only to entertaining men and giving them news, entertaining and giving news, but also to the training of their minds. Yeah, or the deception of their minds. You really have to, you see that the Vatican knew that years before, that movies are a kind of sorcery there. And movies has been invented, or the name of cinema goes back in German to Kino, from the Jesuitical guy Eusebio Francisco Kino from 1645 to 1711. And that's the name of Kino, which is the German equivalent to cinema. And the one who has invented the cinema, more or less, is Mr. Athanasius Kircher. He was a German Jesuit and universal scholar, and one of his inventions was the so-called Laterna Magica, the magic lantern. From 1671. 1671, almost 300 years before the assassination took part. Yeah, that was the origin of all the movie projectors, actually. Yeah, this is a kind of, and if you look in that, you see the parts moving or the pictures moving. And that has to be done with education. Yeah, and this is a part of the timetable from 1671. Yeah, there is Laterna Magica. Yeah, which means the sorcery lantern or the magic lantern. 1671, and then you got a stroboscope, a soul praxiscope, and then the kinescope, the first movie projector in 1891. Yeah, and therefore you can think about yourself where the magic comes from the magic bullet, huh? They're using magic. They're using magic even in their Miranda Prosos. Yeah, of course, not in the German, not in the English part. Huh? No. Magic. No magic in the English part, but Zauber, which has also been equivalent to magic in the German part. Huh? Magic for the children. There you got your magic bullet.
Isn't that interesting, Michael? Today, as opposed to back in Miranda Prosos' day, that was in the 50s, wasn't it?
57, yeah.
Yeah, 57. So today we have the promotion of these books and series from, trying to remember the name of this, not Lord of the Rings, but the sorcerer stuff. I'm trying to think.
Harry Potter or what?
Harry Potter, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, these Harry Potter books and all of the Harry Potter movies and everything. And that's what we have today. I'd say that's a much more direct approach as opposed to, Disney and all that. That's more of an indirect approach.
And I think that the Magic Lantern is also very interesting when you look upon that movie or that comic figure, Green Lantern. It is not by coincidence. It's the light green color where I almost telling you every time that it's the color of witchcraft. It's a dying nature. It's the pale green, or what do you call it, red?
Oh, pale. What, the color?
Yeah, you have a special name for that color.
Pale green? Oh, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, but it's just this pale green. That's the Green Lantern. You see, that has something to do with sorcery, I think, huh?
Oh, maybe it's emerald.
Emerald, yeah. Yeah, emerald. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So this is Athanasius Kircher, one who has also invented the megaphone. Yeah, so to reach people with a big volume, yeah, which enables the voice to reach thousands, which is absolutely necessary for propaganda. Think of the Second World War, for example.
That sounds quite convincing, Michael.
The magic lantern projected sharp images through a lens upon a screen, giving audiences the illusion of burning cities and conflagrations. Yeah? It's a Jesuitical invention. So don't come up with the fact that, of course, the Roman Catholic Church, 1957, Miranda Prosos knew of Athanasius Kircher and that is actually a Roman Catholic or a Jesuitical invention. The American cinema's early subject matter to capture the popular imagination, the cowboy, was a Jesuit contribution as well. Eusebio Kino, whose statue is one of the two representing Arizona in the United States Capitol building, was a Jesuit professor from Ingolstadt. That's the head of the Bavarian so-called Illuminati Adam Weishaupt distraction sect, Ingolstadt College in Bavaria. Between 1687 and 1711, Kino introduced cattle and their management to southern Arizona. For this, he is gratefully remembered as the father of the cattle business. Pondering the works of Kircher and Kino, we come to a rather astonishing awareness. Kino's cowboys, as projected through Kircher's magic lantern, indoctrinated America's earliest movie audiences with the underlying message of Jesuit theatre and Roman Catholic theology that knowing and obeying scripture is not necessary in comprehending the ways of good and evil. Yeah, it comes from F. Tapasauci, Rulers of Evil, page 612, page 70. So it's all sorcery here. And if somebody comes up with the fact that says, no, there is no forgery because there are many other films and we have tried out to have some synchronizing frames and some spots that we all can agree on, then I have to ask you, are you really sure? Because they had so much time. Of course, movie has been shot in 1963 in November. And the first one ever published was the Zapruder movie in 1969. So come on, people, they had more than 5 years to modify, to alter everything. And the general public has only been aware of that film in the beginning of the 70s. My. It's not the time of the smartphones. And I came aware of the fact that I said, oh yeah, that's a movie, that's a film, but a film contains of many things, and maybe there is something to hide, and maybe there are some layers, maybe there's some things edited or subtracted, and I came to that famous guy. His name is Neil Armstrong. In the 1994 White House speech, he said, those who can remove one of truth protective layers. So at least he's admitting there are truth protective layers. That's an internet meme today that everybody understands a little bit different. So usually people say that's not much to talk about and it's just a phrase. And I said, okay, now the truth protective layers means that the truth has been hidden under a pile of rubble. And that's also valid for the movies and for all the pictures. So you cannot be sure that every movie or any picture is correct, because that guy comes also from a film agency, let's call it this way. That's the NASA or the NASA. NASA means to deceive people. It's been used in Genesis 3:13. Oh, there's a 13. Yeah. So that means to deceive the people. NASA, to deceive. That's here, Nasha, to deceive. Maybe I have to enlarge it a bit so that you can read it there. To deceive. Yeah? Because it was Eve who told the Lord God, no, the serpent beguiled me. And this beguile means Nasha in Hebrew. Hebrews 5:377, strong concordance, means to deceive. Yeah, so Nasha is just one letter H missing here, but it sounds the same, Nasha. But of course, it's just a big coincidence, like the serpent people audience hall. It's all just a big coincidence. It's not a plane here. It's the fork of a snake, in my humble opinion. But who am I? You see here on that Hugh Bechner picture, you see here Abraham Zapruder standing on that pedestal. And let's be aware of the fact that he was in the end of his 50s. And that pedestal is about 1.20 meters high, which is about in inches, let me guess, 15 inches. 50, not 15, 50. I don't know how.
Michael, if you don't mind, I just wanted to add that, you see this man standing on the vehicle there, right where Michael's got his cursor on his head. So right behind his head, you see the concrete, and then above that, you see two figures. Yes, two figures.
Yeah,
one is Zapruder, and the other is his. Was it his
secretary officially? Yeah. But there you got a real big problem with that, because you see that usually it's been said that it just was Zapruder who was standing there. So now you know you're facing so much problem with the Zapruder movie, because you do not know if Abraham Zapruder was really the guy who was filming the assassination. You cannot tell. It's too fuzzy. It's too fuzzy, but that's not my big argument. My big argument is that you see that there was somebody standing there, and that pergola, or that pedestal, that is the pergola, the north. You see that the side of the death. Yeah, he was standing beside the side of the death wind, the wind of the north, on that pedestal, on the almost exact spot, looking to the street where Kennedy was killed. Yeah, don't come with coincidences, please. So, comes to our first big problem. What we got no problems, but this is Zapruder movie frame 001. You see that motorbike here with the policeman coming from Maine, going left on Elm. You see a bunch of people lined up here. Very neatly lined up in the side of the Elm Street. And this is Zapruder 002. The only difference is the angle of the motorbike and the color of that frame. Remember, there are no movies. They are just a collection of frames making the illusion, creating the illusion like in the Magic Lantern that there is a movie, but there is no movie camera because these are just frames. This is frame 1, and this is just frame 2. This is not that sharp as frame 1. So we take frame 1 as our prime example. This is the first frame where the Zapruder movie starts. What do you see? You see here the Main Street, and you see here the Elm Street. There's always something missing here, and what missing is here that you have to take aware of the fact that the Elm Street is usually a very broad street. Yeah? So that means that you got 3 lanes here, not 2 lanes. You got 1, 2, and 3 lanes. I don't know if that white is here a marker of the left lane, but there are 3 lanes on 3 by 3, yeah, on the Elm Street, on the Main Street, on the Commerce Street. But that's not the big thing. Please look at the background here. All the people are lined up here, like if they were meeting a school audience. So please dress properly and please line up in a row. Yeah, there is not a rush. There's not a crowd. These are just not that much of people. Usually in Dallas there were crowds of people, so that the presidential limousine had to make a stop for several times. Although the trip in Dallas just lasted about, I don't know, 40 to 45 minutes. Yeah, so these people are all just lined up here. And in the background, you see 1 building, 2 building, and the 3rd building. And that's where all the mess starts with the Zapruder movie. Because how can you have, because this is just German, how does that building fit in here? On that building here, this side's picturing to the school book depository, that side picturing here to the, or facing the Main Street. You see, this is a darker wall, and this is a brighter wall. So the sun shines on that side and not on that side. That's very interesting to know, because all the shadows are running from east to west on that picture. Of course, here is north, but just from that picture here, this is north, east, south, west. So these are the shadows coming so from that side. So the sun has been shining here, somewhere here. Okay. But if we go to the Elm Street as it's been depicted today, this is a school book depository. Yeah. You see there is a street with that not that sharp angle. And now please compare that to the frame 001. This building is not existence. This building does not exist. It does not exist. Here you see the traffic lights. Yeah, maybe you have here a reference point, your traffic lights. Oh, come on, the traffic light here, the pole. Here is another traffic light. Here's a traffic light. These are all depicted in the Zapruder movie. But here is a big building which is not apparently there nowadays on the Elm Street. But if it would be there, Brett,
Mhm.
where's the street? That means that this background is artificial.
Is there any way to put the Google Earth right on the pedestal where he was standing and look?
No,
there isn't.
that is not possible
Because it's not on the street.
because you are not allowed to enter the holy green grass.
Right.
We can
there.
just.
Can you turn back and look at the street there from that?
Yeah, I would love
see
to
if
do
that
so.
makes any difference.
Yeah, you see, this is here. This is but I cannot. I can only point to that.
Right.
But I cannot get access to that.
That's close enough, though. You can turn.
Oh,
interesting.
I have to.
Interesting.
Sorry, I have to take the route.
Sure.
You see, this building here would fit absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So then we are moving left to Elm.
Yeah.
And once again, and the spot is approaching.
Right there.
Yeah, that's now turn the camera.
The trees in the way, of course, we're not up on the. Interesting.
Yeah, but either way you look at, you see that here is the street, and you had to have any depth. Yeah, there is depth missing. You see in that picture here in Z001, you see the length and the width of the street, and you see here depth because you see that in that movie, you see that in that building here. One part of the building has has sunshine reflecting, and that is a darker tone, so that is more likely shadow. And there are some very strange black objects also.
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, beside the traffic light, there must be street. And if there is street, how narrow is the street here? Let's face it in the Google Earth scenario.
Should be the same, right? 3 lanes.
Should be the same. Yeah, 3 lanes. Yeah.
Yep, correct. Okay.
Yeah. And 3 lanes, it's not a narrow street.
No.
But everything is missing here. And that is just the beginning of all the mess. So that building does not fit. You won't find any picture of that Elm Street segment in 1963. I really had a hard time looking at it, but I could not find it. And after 20 minutes, I said, okay, stop. There must be another approach, and there is. Yeah. So it does not fit because it would block the majority of the width of the street, of the Elm Street. It's a big street. And then I came across something very interesting from the Education Forum, where I would love to look up for research. And they said that, there are some things missing because also the people standing there do not line up with the corresponding picture. And the corresponding picture is that picture allegedly been made by Mr. Ike Aldkins. Ike Aldkins? Oh, well, maybe we have to look upon Mr. Ike Aldkins. You won't believe your eyes, because that is Mr. Ike Aldkins. That was the one guy who was there in the Dealey Plaza shooting the famous or most famous pictures. And now look very carefully. He was on assignment for the Associated Press when he captured 2 historic images on the assassination. We will go into the pictures quite soon. But that guy is not only a photographer, but also an actor. Yeah, he had an acting career before in 1959. Print, advertising, motion pictures, actor and model, television, low-budget science movie, beyond the time barrier. Interesting, huh? Aldkins was the only photojournalist to climb to the 29th floor of the Mercantile National Bank building in Dallas to cover the rescue of a young girl from an elevator fire. So he was a very brave man. The job of a photographer is to shoot pictures in any location at any time because he's been paid to deliver pictures. That's his profession. On the day of the assassination, he was scheduled to work in the offices at the editor. So he only also edits photos. He asked instead to go to the triple overpass or underpass, the railroad bridge under which Elm, Main, and Commerce Street converge at the west end of Dealey Plaza, to photograph the motorcade that was to take President Kennedy from Love Field to a scheduled appearance to the Dallas Trademark, where he was ordained to deliver his Solomon speech, if you remember correctly, huh? Of course, it's about the ritual, is about the third-degree master mason, about the killing of Hiram Abiff, the chief architect of the Solomon's Temple. That's we made a complete session about that. Altkins was not assigned to work in the field that day. So, Brett, he was absolutely by accident there, the same accident that occurred with Mr. Abraham Zapruder, right? And do you know where Abraham Zapruder used to work? I can tell you, in that 501 Elm Place, the Deltex building. Yeah, it is not very far away from the Dealey Plaza, Brett. As a 32-degree Freemasons, and then if you
that's right, it's right down the street.
yeah, and there are many informations around that this also 501 Elm Place. There are CIA offices here. We are not surprised, aren't we? So look at the lane here. These are a 3-lane street, and it is not visible in the Zapruder movie. Back to Mr. Altkins, because he delivered a photo which we would have to use big time very soon. So he was there on private issues. So he took his personal single lens reflect camera rather than the motor-driven equipment. So he just could make one shot and zip and one shot, and with the motor below the camera, under the camera, you would have could have taken several pictures a second. So he just used his personal single lens camera, because it must appear that he was only there for private interest, but not in the interest of American or Associated Press. Yeah, you have to believe that. I don't do this. So he delivered famous pictures. This is Altkins picture 6, where you see the Elm Street coming down, going to the Dealey Plaza, where you see the Texas School Book Depository, where it looks as if Mr. Oswald or a lookalike, I think it's more likely that it was Bill Lovelady, standing at the entrance, and just only 3 people looking back to the Texas School Book Depository. That's the 2 Secret Servicemen, and this is one Secret Serviceman, Mr. Hickley, which is very interesting for later sessions. All the other people are just looking in the direction of the president. So allegedly, and you see that in that picture here, Mr. Kennedy has his arms raised up. You see the first strike of the first silence is a strike to the throat. And you see here also the white handkerchief of Mrs. Kennedy, the first lady, assisting her husband. And these are the 3 who are reacting to any kind of shot, if occurred. 1, 2, 3. And these are only Secret Service personnel. All the other people are looking to the president here. If a shot would have occurred here, yeah, then the majority of people will frighten and would look above or so. And the 4th one who is reacting to that is a Secret Service personnel here in the follow-up car. You see the door has been just opened. So all the people are reacting to something are Secret Service personnel. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see open windows who would not be allowed. And there's also other things. Look at the angle here, Brett, from that street. So the angle is very narrow.
Say, there's something else that I've never noticed before until just now. Why is it that the presidential limousine is being followed so closely behind? I mean, that looks like, what, 18 inches, 2 feet?
Yeah.
That's really close.
Yeah, and that's also the reason why I have a big problem with the Zapruder movie. You see, there are certain frames missing. Yeah. See, when you concentrate on the distance here between the follow-up car and the presidential limousine, it's been said that you see the counter for the frames, 173, yeah, so 174, etc. It's been said that the Ike Altkins picture has been shot at Zapruder frame 255. Yeah? So we have to skip to 255. Takes a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that must be the frame where the Altkins picture has been shot. Okay? Yeah, you see the presidential motorcade, but you don't see, I have to show you. Where is the motorbike rider here? Where is the policeman?
Looks like it's being obscured by that white
rectangular window here.
Yeah.
Like, looks as if, but you see that is the only artifact which is attributed to the Zapruder movie, because the other 8mm movies do not have these white blanks here.
Yeah, that's right. What is with that?
What is with that? Yeah, you ask yourself. Yeah, what's with that? Also, there are so many things, but just we will have a close examine at the Zapruder movie also in the next session. But in that session, let's face the fact that there is something missed out information. Because now, if you know that this is the AP photographer, of course, privately there with his only single lens photo camera, please tell me where was he located when he shot that picture?
He wouldn't be standing in the street, would he?
Yeah, he must. Sure,
he must be, right?
He must stand on the street. That's what you don't see, of course, in a Zapruder movie, because it just focused on the things in that small frame. Although Mr. Zapruder was very far away. Remember? Look at the distance here. Choo. Yeah. Sorry, that's a little bit off. Just a bit, teeny tiny bit, please. Yeah. You see how far away he was, actually. That's not 30 feet or so. That is at least 40 feet. At least. I do not know the correct number, but you see that you have to take into consideration that the Kennedy limousine was also riding on the middle of the street. Yeah. So you have to add one lane too. And you have to add here all the pavement. Yeah. And now you see from that X spot to the Zapruder spot. Yeah. Yeah, you have to get away from that. I think it's more than 50 feet. So he must have zoomed in, but not that much, because you also can see very clearly here the openings in the pergola. Mm-hmm. So it's not that blurry. So it's very strange, because it seems that it's not the entire movie, but they have restricted your view for the lower part of it. And then you got also the two artifacts of the white rectangular parts here. Yeah. So there is an official photographer with a camera standing in the middle, or at least in the right lane of the Elm Street, shooting the picture, of course, with a lens, the teleobjective, so with the lens. But given the sharpness of that image here on in the distance, he could not have used a big telescopic lens. So you see, it's quite sharp. Now we can enhance it here. It's really quite sharp. Now you don't get that sharp picture if you use a big a camera with a big object. Yeah. So it's very sharp here. I don't know what kind of equipment he had. I must have looked at it, but that's not my point. My point is that imagine a few seconds before the American president has been assassinated, there is somebody stepping in the street. It could also happen that somebody with a rifle or a gun would have stepped into the street. Mm-hmm. There would be no protection, because many people claim that Altkins 6 pictures bullet in the window, which is here. And that's very difficult thing to think about, but it's not part of the session. It's been my Oh, it's really hard to concentrate in English now. How can I say that? My intention is to show the people that this Zapruder movie has been faked. And has been faked by officials and not by any lone nut or so. So this is the Altgen 6 picture. And you clearly see in the background this Deltex building. And interesting enough, you see that now on that building, also on the forefront here, you see the sun shine brightly because you see here a shadow. Yeah? So that's another problem that you have with the Altgens, yeah, because there is a black side and there's a bright side. Yeah? So that does not seem to be correct, because you have to take care of the fact that between this picture and the movie of Zapruder, maybe there are 1 minute difference. But it's just a small exception here, a small excerpt here for Mr. Altgens. You see that is a picture where many people rely on, yeah, that's here Lee Harvey Oswald standing in the doorway. I highly doubt that, because many people think that he was on the second floor. But it's not interesting, because we know that he could not fire the shots because of the frequency, because of the rifle, and because there were no traces found in his face. So even the Dallas police admits that he could not have shot the president. So why concentrate on that here? It's more interesting to concentrate on the picture. So 4 people are being referring to anything happened here, which only the Secret Service would know of, because they are only Secret Service men reacting to something. These 2 are looking behind, although these 2 are not. Yeah. So if there was a shot or something else, why do all the people do not react to something here? Yeah. So 1 Secret Service, 2 Secret Service, 3 Secret Service, and 4 Secret Service. Interesting, huh? And I got a clue what that means. You see that the Secret Service guys are usually armed. And people said they heard a loud noise, something like this, like a firecracker, and there is a car opened here. And I cannot prove it, but there is a reason to think that maybe a gun was fired into the air to let it appear that a shot had been fired. I know that it sounds very off to many, many people, but I don't care how off it seems. I know that everything here has been faked, so you cannot get along to the official script. You have to make ideas, and you have to think for your own. But only Secret Service personnel are reacting to something. You cannot prove what it is, but it's interesting that all the bystanders are not afraid. They're not throwing down on the floor. And as you see on the grassy knoll later on, and all the people are just looking at the president. Next problem with Mr. Ike Altgens is Altgens tried to find a good camera angle on the bridge, but uniformed police said it was a private property and turned him away, and he moved to the location within the plaza. Yeah, it's very strange when you see after the assassination took place, there were a bunch of so-called railroad workers on the triple overpass or underpass. Oh, what do they do there? We have learned in a Secret Service session that there were the majority of people gathering Freemasonry were railroad workers. So maybe it was a lodge for the railway workers. I don't know. But it's very strange that they could appear, but he was sent away by a so-called official. You cannot know if that official was an official or just a disguised Secret Service man or else. Yeah. So he was being sent away. And then he heard a noise like a firecracker. And after Mr. Kennedy has been shot, he shot this famous picture called the Altgens 7, so the follow-up to the Altgens 6, which you've seen before, where Mr. Clint Hill stood here on the presidential limousine accelerating, and Mr. Kennedy already been stepping in. And you see here a bunch of roses, and you see a dying president somewhere here. Oh, that picture is very interesting, but I will tell you later on or in a few sessions. As Altgens set up for a second photograph along Elm Street, he heard a sound that he recognized as gunfire and saw that the president had been struck in the head. Altgens later wrote that his camera was focused and ready, but, quote now, but when JFK's head exploded, sending substance in my direction, I virtually became paralyzed. Yet many news people say I should have taken the picture anyway. I should have made that picture that I was set up to make, and I didn't do it. That's really strange. because we have learned that he was the only fraternal journalist to climb to the 29th floor of the Mercantile National Bank building in Dallas to cover the rescue of a young girl from an elevator fire. And then we shall believe that he did not shoot the exact picture when the head of Kennedy exploded. And you can believe it, I don't. Maybe the FBI or somebody else has confiscated also that evidence. We never know, because Mr. Altkins is not among the living anymore. So that's not my point. I think that really that's a spill love lady, but that's not the point. It's absolutely unimportant in informations. Mr. Altkins said that he initially reported hearing 2 shots, but thought somebody had been setting off fireworks, so he could not identify that it were gunshots. He believed they came from the other side of Elm Street, opposite the presidential limousine from where he was standing, so on the grassy knoll, so to speak. Altkins said it was obvious to him that the headshot came from behind Kennedy's limousine because it caused him to bolt forward, dislodging him from this depression in the seat cushion. Yeah, on the other hand, he said that he heard shots from the grassy knoll. Interesting. Oh, you will have a hard time solving all the riddles, but we will try to do that later on. Altkins and the former Texas governor John Connally, remember, sitting in front of the president's car, met by chance in Houston a short time later. Sure, I have to believe that. It's all coincidence. And then he stayed in Dallas and took a job with the Ford Motor Company. Sure, these are 33-degree Freemason Henry Ford. And Henry Ford being also that company where they have a Lincoln division. Yeah, and that was a very interesting brand that equipped the limousine of the President of the United States. Also, Mr. John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of Mr. Abraham Lincoln, shot Mr. Abraham Lincoln in the Ford Theater. So it's all a big coincidence, Brett. Yeah, please don't try to use your brain, because it is not wanted by any government. And he thought that Jackie was so frightened that she was trying to get away. Oh, I have a very different approach to that. Altkins said that he had told FBI agents that he might have had better pictures for investigators if he had been allowed to stay on the overpass. By being up there, I would have been able to show the sniper. Brett, I have a very hard time believing that, because that if he would like to do so, he could have made the picture anyway. But he said he was so paralyzed, so why should he not be paralyzed if he was standing on the triple overpass from that perspective, seeing Kennedy's head explode? I don't get the logic, Brad. Can you help me out?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. As well as the death does not make that much sense, because on December the 12th, 1995, Ike and Clara Altkins were found dead in separate rooms in their home in Dallas. A Houston Chronicle article quoted a nephew, Dallas attorney Ron Grant, as saying his aunt Clara had been very ill with heart trouble and other health problems, and both of them had long suffered from the flu. Yeah, they were flu that were called the flu in 1995. They've called it differently since 2019. Carbon monoxide poisoning from a faulty furnace may also have played a role in their death.
Yeah.
So this is the coincidental life of Mr. Ike Altkins. Was not able to shoot from the triple overpass. Could not shoot the president because he was so paralyzed. And then he died together with his wife because from a faulty furnace. That's the fairy tale of Ike Altkins. I'm sorry, I don't believe that entirely. I won't go into Ike Altkins, because you see that you can go into several things, but it's very interesting that the only people who are reacting in the Altkins 6 movies are Secret Service, Secret Service, Secret Service, and just one other Secret Service. Yeah. And there are many, many, many pictures available. Yeah, from the presidential limousine and the Queen Mary here from Maine to Elm Street. And there's also a second movie which looks to the assassination from the other side of the Elm Street. This has been done by Mr. Orwell Nix. Orwell Nix was working as a climate technician for the Texanican government. I said, oh, what a coincidence, because in that schoolbook depository, there was, in former times, there was an air-cooled industry within. Oh, so interesting, huh? Climate, air-cooled. Yeah, very interesting. And also the Nix film has been shot on 8mm and also a silent movie. And he said, yeah, the shots were coming from the grassy knoll. The problem is now that there is no original available anymore, because the granddaughter of Mr. Orwell Nix, called Gail Nix, she said, oh, there is something missing. Look at this. Yeah. Woman's use for return of film. So not the film of Mr. Zapruder or the pictures of Outkins, but from Orwell Nix. A woman whose grandfather filmed the assassination of President John F. Kennedy as a home movie is suing the United States government for its return, seeking $10 million compensation over the film shot by Orwell Nix. And the problem is that this is important evidence, but it has been lost. The original has been lost after it's been last seen at the House Select Committee on Assassination 1978. The movie has been lost. It was believed to have been handed to the National Archives, but the lawsuit said that the agency has told Mrs. Nix Jackson, who lived in Fort Worth, Texas, has no longer the movie. Oh, it is not there. It has disappeared. She says, I can understand little clerical issues. I said, oh, that's a very interesting remark here. I don't understand the loss of evidence like this. And I would guarantee you that the film has not been lost, but the film has been hidden from the public eye. Can you imagine? The movie has been lost after somebody has been handed over to a government commission like the House Select Committee on Assassinations. And it has been lost. It's been lost forever. My. If people really believe all that BS. Yeah. So that is part of that movie, Orwell Nix. Yeah. So you see here in that frame, that's what I chose them, you see here two people standing on the pedestal here. And that's why I chose that very picture here, in the almost very moment when JFK was been shot. You see here some very strange things, artifacts, maybe part of the brain, I don't know. But you see that it's been very clearly here that you see the car and you see much of the car, despite what you see in the Zapruder movie. Yeah, look at the movie. Yeah, you see the car disappearing. You don't see the wheels anymore. You see the car disappearing. You see almost the president now disappearing here. So that movie, if it had been shot that way, is for people who are more interested in bystanders and more interested in the green color of the grass. But the action takes place within the limousine and is barely notable. You don't see the passenger here in the front seat, and you only see the top of Mr. Kennedy. Yeah, and it does not get any better. You see, this is the presidential head. You really believe that is the end of the Zapruder movie here, or the Zapruder frame here? He wanted to shoot or he wanted to make a picture of the president. But if you do so, you focus the president in the middle of the picture, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the frame here from Orwell Nix from the other side. At least he's got the limousine entirely in his picture. Of course, he's standing flat to the surface here, and Mr. Zapruder also has the benefit of standing as a supreme being. He was a 32-degree Freemason on that pedestal. So why can't he keep his focus on the presidential limousine? I can tell you, because my estimation is that it was not supposed to be that way. This is just not only the frame, this is just a frame of a frame. It can not be that you don't see so many, that they are hiding so many interesting information. They are hiding the motorbike cop, and you see that here there is no street, but below the car there's just grass, but he's not driving on the grass, he's driving on the street, but the street is not visible. And the majority of the car is not visible also. Yeah. So if you skip to frame, frame 312, before the fatal shot, Yeah, that's almost the same as the Albinix from the other side. Yeah. What to make out of it, Brett?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that the Zapruder film is a frame. It's framing you. You don't see anything. That you see what you are supposed to see, but you're not seeing the very interesting things. Yeah, coming back to the photographer of Mr. Ike Altkins or anybody else who has shot that picture, I don't care. For comparison, you see here that big wall before the 4 lines of windows are been visible here. Going back to Zapruder, the first movie or the first frame here. Going back to Zapruder, first frame. I can enhance it a bit. Yeah, you see that would fit. So the windows are starting somewhere here. Yeah. And the traffic light is here. Now we compare that to that picture here. Yeah, see the traffic light? See the window. But in between there is the street, 3 lanes, side by side. And this picture is proof of the alteration of the Zapruder movie, that this entire Zapruder movie is a fake. Why is that, Brett? Because there's something in that picture here which is not visible in Zapruder frame 001. Yeah, you see that 001, you see here it's black, it's black, it's black, it's really black, and there comes the traffic light and the line of people.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't have to tell you that the Internet is not sleeping, and Internet has evaluated that the line of people visible in the Zapruder movie does not correspond to the line of people being visible in that kind of picture here. That's the first problem. I think that you can say that you can verify the picture, but that seems to be Mrs. Kennedy and Mr. Kennedy and all the other people around.
Michael, there's no lettering above that building there either. There's lettering on that.
Yeah.
The Zapruder, the first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's verification to me.
Oh, there's
there's
absolutely
more, right?
Also verification. I've left out that because I just wanted to not to extend my German session, but you're absolutely spot on. But there's a much bigger thing that is not visible here. Therefore, that image is a fraud. Yeah, look, please, once again at the picture here. You see, of course, the presidential limousine in the center of the focus here. It's a focus of interest. The center of the interest is a presidential limousine. You don't see the limousine here on the lower side, and you see this is what a photographer would care. He wants to have the object of interest in the center. Yeah, but what about the lane? Why has been a lane created not for bystanders, but for vehicles? But look at the bright white, this van here, this white van. And now compare that to Zapruder 001. Where's the van?
Not there.
It's not there. It's absolutely missing. Yeah, absolute proof that the Zapruder movie is fake. Because the van is much higher than any tall people standing here. Any tall.
So they were making a right turn off of the center. What is that center street called again, Mike?
Houston Street.
Houston Street.
Yeah.
So then they were going to take a left up onto Elm Street.
Yeah.
So you can see the car behind the presidential limousine was taking a right. So you know that's where they were at. They were on Houston Street, going to Main Street, and then taking a left onto Elm.
Yeah. You will. Right. Yeah. You see, the picture has been created somewhere.
Oh, sure.
Somewhere here. Oh.
That makes sense.
No, it's hard to. Yeah. I think the photographer was standing here. Yeah, somewhere here. Yes, the obelisk here is here coming down from Main Street here. You see where the old red court building is. He was standing somewhere here and then making the shot. Yes, you see here this gray building here, and you see the Deltex building. Yeah, where you don't see any letters upon. Of course, that's absolutely correct. But if you face the fact that if you would drive as the president was driven here, and then you make the sharp left turn, yeah, you see here the traffic lights, and there is the street. Yeah, so there's there's plenty of room. Sorry. Yeah, there's plenty of room to position a white van. Plenty of room. 3 lanes. And these buildings are still standing here. Yeah, they have not been altered. Yeah, so the white van is proof, absolute proof. You can doubt that picture, of course, yeah, that they have inserted a white van. But the people are not lining up correctly, according to the Zapruder movie. There is no lettering upon the Deltex building, and the white van is missing. Yeah, yeah, you got 3 proofs that the Zapruder movie has been altered. And therefore, anyone who tells you, or anybody who tells you that he can verify how they did it according to the Zapruder movie, sorry, you have to start your investigation from the start. It has all been manipulated. If the fraud has been visible in the first and foremost frame, then the entire movie is a fake. It's a fake. It's the end of any discussion, Brett. It's a fake. You now know that it is a fake. And I got more proof even. Yeah, it's not only that movie or that shot here, which does not line up to where is the white van, where is the police official or what else that guy is, where is the lettering on the building, what's that kind of a building anyway, etc. It does not make any sense. Yeah. I got another proof that is a movie from Robert Hughes' film, Stabilized. Yeah, you see the presidential limousine, and then you see the Queen Mary, and there you can clearly see there is no indication on that building, and you can clearly see what seems to be like a white van in the background here, Brett.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that is a verification of a film, of a photograph, of a picture, a verification with the film of a photograph against the Zapruder movie, actually. Mm-hmm. So it is fake. It is fake. Many people have used the Zapruder movie for their evaluation and writing books about it, and it's all a fake. When it's a fake, it's a fake, it's a fake, it's a fake. Yeah, it's framing. Yeah, you don't see much on the Zapruder movie. Yeah, you see more on the Orwell Nix, but you see that has been lost here in the archives. It's not there. The original here is not there. And the original here has been sold to Life magazine. And we will soon discover that the Life magazine said, oh, they have destroyed several frames of the Zapruder movie. Of course, by accident. It's just only an assassination of an American president. Come on. That's happening every day, huh? My. They sold that. They bought that movie for $150,000. And then they have absolutely a mater personnel or an apprentice or what? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the marmalade been running on the movie. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Really. The American government is absolutely fooling the people since 1963 at least. Because until now, many files have not been granted access to the public. Yeah, and you see also in that Orwell Nix movie, you don't see any artifacts of any white things. Yeah, and of course, so many things missing. I will show you now something. This is a movie that somebody came up and said, oh yeah, we focus the center of attraction on the Zapruder movie, and then we model the background according to that. So you can face your interest now on the motorcade, which is coming down. You see here the official frames. I don't know if these are authentic or not, but of course it had to start with frame usually with frame 01, but it does not. It does start with frame 27. Yeah, but you see that Yeah, you don't see any car, but out of a sudden, the car is there. So there are still, even if the frames are continuously shown here, even that frames are missing. Yeah, so every frame, every indication here must be incorrect. Yeah, but out of nowhere, bang, these are the presidential limousine. Yeah, I know the quality is very decent here, but it does not need to be very good, because we see now that it's been slowly driving, and now it's been shooting off the presidential limousine. Yeah, and that's what you are supposed to see. The problem is that people always focus their center of attraction to the things happening in the middle. But what would occur? Would you draw your attention to the background? Then you would see that, oh, this background is not only available in Zapruder 1 and 2, but in many other frames. Yeah, you see, it's the same background here. And now, please, I rewind that movie, Brett. I hope you can see that properly. Please give me your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah. Look at the movement of the people here. Look at the movement, compare that with the movement of the people here and the movement of the people here. Because you know that not everything has been seen in the Zapruder movie. That's why you have only a very small area of things being seen. Yeah? See that? Where is the center of movement happening? Is it on this side? Is it on that side? Or is it here?
It's the last.
It's the last. You see that little girl with the red skirt or so. Yeah. Even some people are stepping back when the limousine is arriving, but the people here on this side, they are barely moving. Especially also the people here are barely moving. And so it's very strange, because usually you would say that, oh yeah, the people will be cheering the president, hey, waving. Yeah, because the president is waving until this very point where he's been pointing at his throat, and we are soon approaching 2:55, where allegedly then it was the frame that Mr. Alkins was been shooting, and you see there's not much happening there, and that is the very problem with that movie. Yeah, this is not the original movie, because I can show you the original movie, but then you have these white artifacts on the side. Yeah, so it is a fabricated movie. It is a fabricated movie. Also, I got a very big problem with that, because if you consider the frame of the camera, Brett, these shooting 18 frames per second. 18 frames per second. Yeah, and now we draw our center of interest in for that woman, away from the president to that woman here. Okay, so bear in mind, you need 18 frames to have 1 second. Okay, so let's count, of course, to frame 309. That's the movement that girl or woman is making within 1 second. Okay, I hope I can do that here. I don't know. Oh no, oh, my. How can I do that? How can I achieve that? Yeah, but there are the cars. Yeah, see the movement of the people here and see the movement of the people there. Just one girl clapping their hands, that's all. Yeah, people clapping their hands. Yeah, and in that movie you see that some white things occurring here. There are no white things. Yeah, you see, is he driving in the street, Brett? Is he driving in the street, or is he floating?
Doesn't look like it, does it?
Yeah, or is he floating in the sea or in the green or what? It's hilarious, actually. Yeah. So this is all staged. It's all staged. Everybody focuses on the limousine, but if you focus on a limousine, you don't see the other things coming into play. And we know that the limousine came almost to a full stop. But that does not appear to be a full stop here in that movie. So every movie has been faked. There are frames missing in it, and we will prove that soon. And I've got other artifacts. Look at that guy here. Look at that guy. Oops. Yeah, there was the upper part of his body missing. I don't know what that kind of an artifact is. Yeah, see that?
Yep.
That's sorcery once again, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If you look upon the frame here, let's say from 314, it would be until frame 332 that this woman is moving within 1 second. Yeah, so she must be running. And all the other things also. Sorry, it cannot happen on that computer. I have to insert that. Does not do anything here. So what I'm trying to put out is that I'm absolutely according to one commenter who said, I don't see how anyone can base anything on a Zapruder movie. And we know it is fake. So many things are not showing there. So many things are fake. Yeah, it is not happening. And Mr. Robert Groden, who was the one who was officially been promoting the movie and publishing the movie then in the beginning of the 1970s, he says, oh yeah, that movie is authentic. Yeah. But Mr. Groden, not only for me, but for other people, is a Jesuitical coadjutor. And he starts the movie with the phrase that Elm Street, the crowds are just beginning to thin out. Yeah, of course, it was restricted area for some reasons. But his movie also, the case of conspiracy or for conspiracy, is also fraud because it shows the sound. It depicts the sounds in the audio, and there were no sound because all the movies were silent movies. So it's also disinformation. Once again, like firecrackers. And all the mess, yeah, you see that everybody based something on the Zapruder movie will fail. Because the Zapruder movie is an alteration of certain frames. Of course, the assassin is too dumb and leaves the gun and also empty shells. Yeah? Sorry. Sorry. So we are talking about a fake movie. Yeah? There are unreleased copies, including frames from an unreleased and intact copy of the Zapruder film, which was made before the original film was damaged by Life magazine. You have to believe that. I don't believe it. Yeah, I don't believe it. Yeah, and anything else is everybody else is pointing upon that building here. Yeah, so that's what is this brightly lit building? Yeah, and where is the van? It's not only me coming up with it. You can't see that. You can't face it. And the street has not been altered that much. It has been altered in height, I know, but it has not been altered that much in 1963. So there are certain things not happening here. Not happening. Not happening. Wait until we come to the conclusion of it all. Yeah. So thank you, Robert Groden, for showing an altered version of the Zapruder film. And somebody came up with a very valid argument. He said, never in the history of gunfire, with a shot to the head from a high-powered rifle, has anyone's head exploded like JFK's head. Never, ever. That's absolutely true, spot on. Never, ever. It's only appeared on the Kennedy and in the Zapruder movie. Once again, I tell you that, in my humble opinion, it is not possible that the explosion was in orange color. It has something to do with Freemasonry, once again. Yeah, although the rifle was not a high-powered rifle. Yeah. So this is sorcery. It's all sorcery. I think that is made up here. It's a made-up picture, inserted and highly modified, at least with the color. It's a very strange thing. It's all fake. Yeah, you see every movie. You see that this is. The limousine was midnight blue. It was not green. Yeah, so you see here a green, you see here a green. You don't see any lane. It's just fake. Yeah, therefore you cannot conclude anything from the Zapruder frames. You say, oh yeah, we are comparison this and that. You can only see that certain things are missing. And in the next session, we will see that there is much more to it. There is a very interesting researcher which is not living anymore. And he will show us so many artifacts in the Zapruder movie. But there's also a Dave Weichmann film, shot from a few cars behind the president. And it was filmed during the shooting, and not one person looked up and behind themselves when they were about 60 feet away from a rifle shot, and nobody heard anything, yeah, except that 4 people were reacting, were only Secret Service agents. Yeah, so yeah, that is very interesting. That is the that is the Wiegmann film, and nobody's looking on top or so when allegedly the first shot had already been fired there. Yeah, so it's all BS. It is a big part of illusion. It's so much illusion. It's so much illusion. You cannot. When we go into the assassination, we find so many things which cannot happen. For example, that Connolly in the seat before Kennedy was just having his head in his right hand, allegedly struck by a bullet. Yeah, so that is Governor Connolly's right wrist. Yeah, but he kept on holding his head. Of course, he's a gentleman, Brad, and he would hold tight his head even in the grave. Yeah? If your wrist has been shattered by a bullet, you don't have any grip to hold your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And he was released 3 days later after surgery, etc., etc. He was not aware, said Robert Grohl, that his wrist has been injured until after the surgery because he had a chest wound. Yeah, I would highly advise you to order an examination of the body of Mr. Connolly. Because everything can be altered, can be faked. Yeah. Connolly did not know what to do. Yeah, sure. It's so much things who try to keep you distracted. Yeah, if it's brain matter and part of his brain, it's all a big BS. It's all a big show. Yeah, there are recreations. There are 2 different wounds. You cannot rely on any witness. All the witnesses said, "Oh yeah, there was a big hole in the back of the head." Yeah. Oh, you don't see that in the Zapruder movie. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Yeah, it was the only time ever when there was a magic bullet going to 2 bodies and through a bone, and then left all the bodies and all the wounds pristine condition. Yeah, sure. It's a big fairy tale. It's a Zapruder fairy tale movie. Of course, you only come up with fairy tale, and you come up with several artists or several things because you are running an agency like FBI and CIA with counterintelligence, Brett. That means that you have to put out some evidence from time to time to keep the people busy. For example, that there is new evidence, out of a sudden, withheld for the public by Army intelligence officer with the name of James Pearl or something else, first time since 13 years. And you have to believe that, and I think that many people will fall for that lie also. Yeah, there is new evidence upon a shooter on the 6th floor window. No. It happened quite the other way. Yeah, why believe an Army intelligence officer, Brett?
Good question.
Yeah. And then he comes up, there is a shape. Oh, great. That is a great revelation, Brett, that there's a shape on the 6th floor window. There is a shape of a man. And you see the problem that people have, they associate things and they think they have seen it, but they then don't have any clue that they should see something to be on the wrong track. If you see somebody with a rifle in a window, and then you hear a shot, and then you see the president falling down, for example, you think you saw the shot who killed the president. But that would be the same as in the Clint Eastwood movies. You also see somebody putting a gun in front of anybody, and then a shot occurs, and then somebody falls to the ground, and you think that, okay, she shot him. But then okay, it's a Western movie, it's a Clint Eastwood movie, that is just a fake. But what convinces you that if you see a man with a gun, for example, it's not that you are supposed to see a man with a gun, so that you think on your own, and you think that you associate the things with the events you see, but it's not necessarily the truth. You have to be of somebody who can think freely and on its own. Yeah, so there's a shape, and I said, okay, then now it's so ridiculous, and I came up in German with a fairy tale story, and I said that sometimes in the near future, when people are more dumbed down, they will come up with a special animal, and this animal I have to find what the German English abbreviation is. A carrier pigeon. Is it correct? Carrier pigeon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Sending letters? Okay, so in the near future, when people are more dumbed down and not allowed to think freely, they come with the story of the carrier pigeon called Betty. Yeah, and Betty, by coincidence, was flying around the Didi Plaza on the November 22nd, and he was having a good time at the moment. He had a letter to this what is it, to hand over, and once again.
Or a message to deliver, or
Yeah, a message to deliver. And the carrier pigeon Betty had a good time on the Friday, the 22nd of November 1963. So she intended to deliver her letter to the 6th floor of the Texas Swoop Depository. And then she was very afraid that she saw somebody with a gun. And she will never forget that frightened moment when she just wanted to deliver a note. And then she saw the face of somebody who was able to kill somebody, and that was the American president. And our little carrier pigeon Betty later learned that it was the American president that was being shot by that window. And I think that there will be some people out there who say that, okay, that sounds very ridiculous, but I've seen that in the New York Times.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, the adventures of the carrier pigeon Betty. Yeah. Because you see that ask Betty, because Betty wanted to become a star, and a star is also a German name of a special bird. Yeah, she wanted to become a star, and she will hand over the story then to the New York Times or Washington Post or what else, or Dallas Morning News, Freemason. Yeah. Yeah, there were a man in the windows of the 6th floor book depository. Yeah, they were on purpose there to distract the people, to distract the audience. Yeah, I've seen somebody. Yeah, everybody's pointing to the knoll. Yeah, but you see, you have to look the other way around, because you shall be distracted. You remember Nasha? Yeah, to be deceived. Yeah. There are so many shadows there, and there are people there, and people attracting your attention. The black dog man, the umbrella man, the babushka lady is always there to distract you. There's a reflection that could be a weapon. Yeah, it could be also a bird shitting somewhere. It's hilarious. Yeah, it's as a flash. Yeah, I am convinced that there were many people shooting, but also to distract the people. Yeah, maybe a piece of the skull, maybe something else. Very likely it was a piece of a skull. Yeah, of course. Yeah, piece of the brain. Yeah, and you will find anybody, paid actors, you will find anybody. Change of penning rate. If Zapruder had made the movie, maybe his secretary has made the movie. Oh, we will come to that later on in the next session. Yeah. Yeah, and also the police chief was aware from the shots on the grassy knoll. You see, where shall I start? This is all distraction here. Yeah, a hole in the windscreen and a rifle, and ready is the next theory. Yeah. Oh, the badge man. Oh, yeah, very famous badge man. Yeah, there are many people running around with badges that day. Maybe the same man that was sending away Mr. Iger Ortgens. Huh? Yeah, maybe. And Mr. Groden then, who was the big one who was publishing the Zapruder movie, he said, oh, yeah, the arrogance of those in power to cover up. May all the truth be known. But I think that he was part of them. Because he was just showing altered movie. Yeah, it was nowhere else, nowhere near an authentic movie. Yeah, it wasn't fake, Groden said. Well, sorry, it was fake, and therefore Mr. Groden is fake. It's easy, as simple as that. Yeah, these are the people behind. Some of them is James Jesus Angleton, the leader, the head of the counterintelligence. These people come up with all the cover-ups, of course. It's not only the FBI. And what makes me really think is that the death of the Secret Service agent, the driver of the limousine, Thomas Shipman, just 6 weeks before the assassination took place. Heart attack with the age of 51, sure. You have to believe everything. No toxicological tests were done. He just died. Yeah, you have to believe it. You have to believe everything. The Zapruder film is a silent 8mm blah, 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 from Mr. Zapruder. Now think of the information that Wikipedia is giving you, Brett. They were exposing 486 frames of that movie. Sure. And then it was sold for $150,000, which would be equivalent in 1.3 million in 2022. Quite a lot of money. Yeah. Now, listen to this. In October 1964, the United States Government Printing Office released 26 volumes of testimony and evidence compiled by the Warren Commission. Volume 18, Brett, 666, of the Commission's hearing reproduced 158 frames from the Zapruder film in black and white. However, frames 201 to 211 were missing. A splice was visible in frames 207 and 212. Frames 314 and 315 were switched around, and frame 284 was a repeat or repetition of 283. Wikipedia. In response to an inquiry, then FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, oh, beware of him, 33-degree Freemason, Shriner Freemason, wrote in 1965 that frames 314 and 315 had been swapped due to a printing error, and that error did not exist in the original Warren Commission exhibits. And please don't forget that in a Life magazine they have damaged the film. Oh, really? How can anyone base something upon that Zapruder movie? It's been fake all over again. Yeah, everybody has his special version. That's why you find so many debates about that movie, that somebody says, oh, William Cooper is not correct, and everybody said, the other one says, oh, yeah, he's correct. Yeah, there are several copies around, floating around somewhere. Yeah, that's very key to know, that there are frames missed. Damage. Life released a statement saying that 4 frames of the original frames were accidentally destroyed. Sure. Do you believe it? I don't. Yeah. Frames 155, 156, 157, 341 also damaged and spliced out. Yeah. And also that would be the logical explanation why all the things are happening so fast in the Dealey Plaza. Yeah, because there are many, many frames missing. Yeah. So you can't base anything about the Zapruder movie, but that is all just a big fake. And we will see that in the next episode. But I just want to show you some other interesting remarks. Dispute over authenticity. The authenticity of the image in frame 313, so the famous headshot, was challenged by Douglas Horn, senior analyst for the Assassination Record Review Board, and Dino Borgioni of the CIA's National Photographic Interpretation Center. Borgioni was considered the world's foremost imaginary intelligence analyst until his death in 2015. Horn discovered the NPIC worked on 2 different versions of the Zapruder film on Saturday and Sunday nights immediately following after the assassination. That is very key to see here. Which had occurred on Friday. The work was done by separate teams that had been compartmentalized and ordered not to speak of their work, causing the teams not to know about each other, even though the personnel from the 2 teams normally work together on a daily basis. When Horn showed his findings and evidence to Borgioni, the latter re-examined a copy of the extant Zapruder film provided by Horn. Borgioni then stated the Zapruder film in the National Archives today and available to the public, specifically frame 313, is an altered version of the film he saw and worked with on November the 23rd to 24th. The earlier of the 2 versions handled by the NPIC. Borgioni recalled seeing a white cloud of rain matter 3 or 4 feet above Kennedy's head and said that his spray lasted for more than 1 frame in the film. The version of the Zapruder film available to the public depicts the fatal headshot only on 1 frame of the film, frame 313. Additionally, Borgioni was certain that the set of briefing boards available to the public in the National Archives is not the set that he and his team produced on that very day. There you got it. You know how fast 1/18th of a second is? If you close your eyelid, yeah, that would need 4 frames. And all the things happening in the DD Plaza are happening so fast that it's a logical conclusion that there are much frames missing. Therefore, anything could happen in between. Anything. Yeah, but you can't see it because it is not been presented to you in a Zapruder movie. It's just not there.
Yeah,
yes.
Isn't that interesting, Michael, that Zapruder would, shoot this with a camera that does 6 + 6 + 6 frames per second?
Yeah, but the problem is that all the other movies, 8mm, that was a common usual. They started with 14 frames per second FPS, and then they later, the better cameras, if I remember correctly, they had 18 frames per second. Yeah, that's what I thought also from the beginning. But then I examined that and I said, okay, the frame rate of the other cameras were accordingly. I don't know if that is correct, but
yeah, sounds right.
There are 486 frames, Brett. 486, like in the 486 microprocessor of this intelligence company called Intel. Not counterintelligence, huh? 486 is?
Oh, when you add it all up?
Yeah.
Let's see. 4 + 8 is 12. 12 + 6. 18.
Yeah. There are 486 frames of that Zapruder movie. 486. It's the last frame. What a coincidence, huh? What a coincidence. It's such a coincidence, yeah. There are so many things happening there, but you see that these are just a bunch of murderers and liars. Yeah. Murderers and liars. That's the German part, yeah. This is Mr. Dino Borgioni, yeah. It's a Zapruder film mystery. Yeah. I've never seen that film like the night that I looked at it. Were the image sharpers a little bit fuzzy? No, they were sharp. So he saw a much sharper version of the Zapruder film than the general public was allowed to. Yeah? And that guy, Mr. Borgioni, helped establish imagery intelligence as a national asset to solve intelligence problem. He has also served under Kennedy, under Robert McNamara, the foreign minister. He has served about the Holocaust. He has served about the Bay of Pigs. He has received a Purple Heart, which of course purple is not the best color to come up with to begin with when you look at it on a biblical way, but we are talking about a pagan government, of course. Yeah. And that's Mr. Dino Borgioni, and he says, as it seemed to be an authority, he says that it was absolutely modified. And they have returned that movie on the film was returned at 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, 3 a.m. is the opposite time of the crucifixion of Christ, so it's a very satanic. It's the most satanic time you come up with. But just buy information here. Yeah. He says that more than one of the frames of the fatal headshot had that spray of brain, and therefore it is a fake. There are things and information left out. 1/18th of a second is 0.056 seconds. Yeah, and there was spray in the movie 313, bang, and then it appears out of nothing. You see that there is air, and what goes up must come down. But you don't see that. You see only the frame, patch, and next frame it's gone. It is absolutely impossible, which means that frame 313 is also highly debated if that is authentic. So maybe it had been altered, colored, or what else. Yeah, you can't take the Zapruder movie seriously. You can't. See, I just want to end it soon. Where should I start? Where should I start? You see so many informations in the Kennedy case, and you don't know what's right and what's wrong. Yeah, of course there were many people in that involved in that assassination. Yeah, but it's your choice whom to believe, actually. If you believe somebody who's like Mr. Groden, who says, yeah, the Zapruder movie is authentic, or if you believe the expert Mr. Buglioni, who said that the public version of the Zapruder movie is not the version that he worked on, that he saw when he was busy doing that. It was his profession. Yeah, and you see that is Mr. Zapruder or somebody else. We will come into that or come to that quite later. But that's almost the moment where JFK has been shot. And you see that he was without any protection. Yeah, these are the motorbikes here. And there are some people also which you don't see on the Zapruder movie because they've been blacked out. Yeah? Once again, this is a perspective of Zapruder, maybe 50 feet away from JFK's limousine. I don't know, but it's much distance between them. Yeah, so that's all about coincidences in every language. Yeah? Sure, he stood on that top pedestal with Marilyn Sitzman. But, and there's a big but, that movie is fake. It is fake in the first picture. It's been faked. It's all faked. It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale. I don't care what kind of camera it is a fairy tale because it is fabricated. Yeah? I know it's a silent camera. I've looked at it in depth. But yeah, does not make sense to look at it because you know that has been put out, this assassination by Freemasons in a Freemason temple in a Freemason site. He's standing on a Freemason pedestal and being a Freemason himself. So what do you expect? Truth? When they are serving a supreme being called Satan or Lucifer? It's all deception. It's all deception. Bob Dylan also has made a song of it. It's called Murder Most Foul. And Bob Dylan is also aware of that because he said, being led to the slaughter like a sacrificial lamb. Yeah, sure. It's been in sacrifice in the temple, huh? Yeah. Johnson sworn in about 2 hours later. Yeah. And he said the age of the Antichrist has only just begun. That's, of course, untrue because the Antichrist is futurism. Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, it sure is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what he's telling you, that he knows that there's something more to it. It's just not a normal.
What song was that again?
Murder Most Foul by Bob Dylan.
Oh, about the JFK assassination.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that fits perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, he said that Zapruder's film I've seen the night before, seen it 33 times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So he knows.
Maybe more.
Yeah, but he knows, you see?
Yeah, of course he does.
Great. Now the script has been crashed, sure. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he knows. He's initiated. You see that we know Mr. Bob Dylan, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Of our series on the satanic media agenda exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, I can also show you that it is possible to have a movie where you see the car entirely from that pedestal. Yeah, that is the proof. Yeah, but Abraham Zapruder could not make it. Yeah, I think that he could make it, but some people did not allow to show the entire movie and also not the entire frame. Yeah, so that has been shot from the same position than Abraham Zapruder. You clearly see everything when a car is riding in the middle lane or the center street. It's so exhausting to do this in English. It's exhausting to do that in German, but in English it's so. Yeah, that's what Bob Dylan says here. Greatest magic trick under the sun. Yeah. Laterna magica. Huh? Yeah. Laterna magica. The magic bullet of yours has gone to my head. Yeah, they're all making fun of that. They all know that it was a Freemason ritual. Killed him like a human sacrifice. Yeah, like a pharmakeia sacrifice. Pharmakos was the name of the human sacrifice. Age of the Antichrist has only just begun. Yeah. Yeah, and somebody misusing the name of Bob Dylan when it comes down to be a Christ. That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, that's Mr. Yeah. Yeah. Chaos. Come on. They killed him on the altar of the rising of the sun. Yes. Yeah, that's the video of him, Murder Most Foul. And he was the one who said that, oh yeah, I made a bargain with the chief commander on this earth and the world we can't see. And that's why he was granting a Nobel Prize in literature. Sure. Because it was not him who wrote that lyrics. It was the evil side who provided him with the lyrics, because he said that, oh no, today I cannot do that anymore. But you have to read the Bible to understand that correctly. So just understand, please, that it's all a forgery. I'm sorry for so much skipping today. But really, you have to understand that there's nothing to it when it comes down to truth. Because the assassination had not been executed if it would have been raining, so they would have used an hardtop. But it had been raining that morning in Dallas. But then luckily, just before the arrival of Kennedy, the sun was shining. And don't forget the 1962 quote of Lyndon Johnson, I think it was 1962, when he said that he who controls the weather will control the world. Yeah. The weather had cleared. Yeah, sure. They could not risk that the weather would be bad. Yeah, and if you think that they would not know how to do that, they know how to do that, and it's called geoengineering. Yeah. Mr. Zapruder said he chose to film on top of a 4-foot concrete abutment which extends from a retaining wall that was part of the John Neely Bryan concrete pergola on the grassy knoll north of Elm Street. Yeah, sure, on the side of the north side of Death and Dealey Plaza. Yes, and John Neely Bryan, the man which that pedestal was been in honorary was been given to, or was been named after. He was the founder of the city of Dallas. Oh, what a coincidence! And this is very interesting here, he shot a man who had insulted his wife and fled to the Creek Nation. Yeah, interesting, huh? So that one guy attributed to the pedestal shot a man. Interesting. And then been handed over to the Texas State Lunatic Asylum. Yeah. And that was the very, very pergola. The Bryan pergola is named after John Neely Bryan, the recognized founder of the city of Dallas. And that's where was the concrete pergola, the exact same pergola upon which Abraham Zapruder was standing during the assassination, as he made a Zapruder film, was originally placed in Dealey Plaza in honor of Bryan and is named for in so many coincidences, Brett. My. That's maybe Mr. Zapruder did also the interview. And he said, my name is Abraham Zapruder. And he said that all blood and everything I kept on shooting, that's about all, I'm just sick. And maybe you will be surprised to learn the following. Sorry, Zapruder movie. Yeah. Oh, I'm so tired of the Zapruder movie, because everybody relies to the Zapruder movie. It's really hard to convince the people that they are looking to a fraud. You see, so many things are missing in that, and that's only the things they tell you that's missing. You see that famous headshot 313. You don't see the whole of the head. Yeah, why? Because there are frames missing. And it's a big and, there are even people who are saying that Mr. Zapruder was a shooter by himself. It's very interesting in the American English language that it's shooting a picture is the same as shooting a bullet. Or is it firing a bullet? It's better. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, but I kept on shooting, he said. I kept on shooting, and he was smiling. And she's so sick, and we know that he was granting his 33-degree Freemason upon the state that everybody thought that he was the big hero, being accidentally on that Brian Pergola, accidentally shooting the president at the same time and exact date of the kill shot. My.
And he was paid very well to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. More than $1 million in today's money.
Right.
So I'm out of here. Next time we will have a more relaxing session, because then I can rely on a video I have made and about a researcher I think highly of. So then we see that it all comes down to fruition, that everything that your government, authority, FBI and so is showing you is fake and fraud big time. Yeah, it is in the killing of Kennedy, it is in the killing of Lee Harvey Oswald, and the aftermath. And so that we are making big progress now, that you know that that's my assumption, is that the Zapruder movie has been faked, and how they did that, that will be the content of our next session. And then I hope that we have left the item of the Zapruder movie, and then we come down to almost the second to last big script from the Kennedy, and then you will see that what it has to do with the religious affairs, what it has to do with the Bible. And I think then the circle will close. Thank you very much for having me, and handing it over to my beloved brother, Brett.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, wow. That was a lot to cover, but that's interesting how that, you can put a movie out like that at the time, years down the line after the assassination took place. And you can't question it because, this is the official movie, and this is really how it worked. Where it's obvious that things don't match up. So thanks, Michael, for taking the time to go into deep analysis of asking a lot of questions about, why are things the way they are. And yeah, it becomes obvious that could be easily manipulated as long as they, change the angle of the view of that vehicle so you couldn't see what was going on the street, because you would obviously see that they were changing it up a lot because things didn't go down the way they show on that video. That's for sure. It just couldn't. Especially right there with that frame of John F. Kennedy's head exploding. That just, you're right. It would take longer for that residual effect to go somewhere. It wouldn't happen all within one frame, 1/18th of a second. It's just impossible. So thanks again, Michael. And as always, looking forward to continuing in this series and seeing how the Zapruder film, how much more in the next sessions, I'm sure to come, how much more this plays into the entire assassination cover-up. So thank you very much again, Michael. Looking forward to next time. And I guess we're going to just close it down then, Michael, unless you have any further comments.
No, I'm just exhausted from taking so much into consideration. I'm very sorry for my bad English today, but to concentrate on all the
I think you did well, Michael. I think
no.
I do. I think it worked out great because essentially we just proved that it's a fraud.
It's not us only. You see, there are many
Right.
researchers which I can rely
Right.
upon. But I will show you in the later sessions. I will show you so much conclusions of my own that you really see that it has much to do with the special church, which is taking over control in the United States of America a long time ago, and therefore it is not astonishing that all roads lead to a certain city. Yeah,
Right.
let's keep it this way. And thanks very much for keeping with me. And yeah, we will see more of that. And I'm very glad when I'm then coming down the road and seeing the finishing line. Therefore, I'm really glad when we can finish the Kennedy script, that we can go back to our Science as a New Religion, for example, and other artists, other things to talk about. I think that in the future. I would like to support many people on actual things. I don't know if that will be possible on YouTube, but yeah, let's try and face it that we are doing a service for people, and we love our small community, and we love everybody, and we hope that many people will see the truth. And the truth is that everybody is against the Lord and His anointed. Yeah, so
Well,
everybody is
yeah,
against
especially
truth.
those in the spirit of Antichrist, Michael,
Yeah.
as Bob Dylan obviously doesn't get, and that's probably, you know, it's just a lyric in a song, but it's very telling, isn't it? That,
Mhm.
why would you write a song with that lyric in there if you didn't believe it
Yeah,
yourself?
sure. Yeah, so that's the picture I made myself, and I tell you that I don't believe anything about the Zapruder movie. Spliced frames, missing frames, doubled frames,
Ah,
missing frames, missing objects. It's hilarious.
I like it. In that picture, you can see their little hands in the bottom there,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's been
yeah.
manipulated. you know, and obviously it is. It is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's really how they get us, don't they? They put the image there for us to consume. So then,
Miranda Pozos, yes,
yeah,
Miranda
all we do
Pozos.
is talk about the image then. We're not talking about what really happened. It's just the image. It's all about the image. Talk about vain deceit, Michael.
Mm,
Gives a new meaning to vain deceit.
mm.
Well, that's where we're at, though, isn't it? So let's close it down and looking forward to catching up with you then, Michael, on the next session, and hope to see our listeners come back. And till then, Maranatha.